Welcome everyone. My name is Patrick Nicoletich. I'm the CTO of ConnectSMART. Today we're going to take a little bit of time out to talk about customer transparency dashboards and how we've implemented that within CSP today. As everyone knows, kind of our typical dashboard solution has always been centered around delivering metrics to tech and internal resources within your organization as a whole. Excuse me. So what we've been working on recently was actually kind of exposing that data to your outside customers. Customer transparency is, a growing term that we constantly hear from our customers. It's something that they want to be able to deliver. From a support perspective, their clients and the people that work at their customer sites are always kind of interested in seeing what's going on. How is my service level being addressed? When I submit a ticket, are they being responded to? How many issues do I have open? How happy are other people within my organization when it comes to the service that you guys are delivering to them? And so, what we've been working on over the past few months here at ConnectSMART is a way to not only display dashboards internally within your organization, but actually publish those out to your customers so that they have a way to, whenever they want, dive right into CSP, see what's going on, and be able to look at kind of the open tickets, satisfaction information, things along those lines. So today we're going to kind of walk you through the features that have been added to CSP to make this possible, as well as one of the sample dashboards we've put together for you guys that will be actually published on Monday, so you can immediately start turning that around and exposing that to your customers and giving them some additional feedback. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and log right into CSP. For those that are familiar, we're going to go straight to the dashboard browser section, and in this environment I've actually loaded up a client transparency dashboard. This dashboard really is just a overall high-level view of what's going on from a customer's perspective. So some of the metrics that we actually have on here are with regards to how many open tickets do I have by contacts within my company, which ones are kind of in progress, which ones are waiting to be responded to by me as one of your customers. What is my average satisfaction? So as your customers are responding to satisfaction surveys, what is the general feel for how positive and how successful the services that I've been delivering to my customers. So some of the things that you can do on this dashboard are pretty straightforward, but they provide your customer with a lot of value and a lot of feedback without having to dig too deeply or go all over the place or dig through the ConnectWise customer portal. Some of the things you can do is go ahead and drill into open tickets by contact. So for example, I can actually see how many tickets David Doe, which is again at your customer sites, have submitted to me, which ones are open, which ones haven't been closed, what's kind of going on in those areas, and how many issues are being submitted by each individual resource. You have a general high-level overview of your tickets by status that you can also drill into. Really kind of just see which ones are assigned, which ones are at various stages of resolution. That way you can kind of track to see where the roadblock is. For example, if you find that tickets are bottling up at the in progress stage and they're just not being completed, your customers can kind of get that immediate feedback right in their hands without having to wonder, why aren't my issues being addressed? What stage are all my issues at? What's going on? The idea is you get that high level visibility into the flow of the tickets through the system. Some of the other things you can actually look at are which ones are actively in progress. Again, everything on this dashboard they can drill into, they can look at, they can see kind of which tickets are open, which tickets are being worked on. That way, they have a great understanding of exactly what's happening and what's being, worked on currently by you guys for your customers. Different appointment information, which ones are waiting for a response again. The CSAT one, don't have any set for this filter, but you'll see when I flip it over in a second, we'll drill down into that one so you guys can get a better idea of what that metric's all about. So we have this dashboard. It's inside of CSP. As you guys just saw me do, you have to log in to get it. which is obviously a problem. There are limited numbers of logins that you have for CSP. So, how do I actually share this information with my customer so that A, it's filtered specifically for them, and B, they can get access to it quickly and easily. So what we've done, and this is a feature that was just released last week, was add in the managed public URL. A public URL in CSP is essentially capturing what I'm looking at on the dashboard as it's currently being viewed. So one of the important things is this is filtered by webinar 1. So as I create this public URL, the actual link is going to be tied to this preset filter essentially. And the trick here with the way that we've actually configured this is, this is pretty sensitive information. As you're exposing different data to different customers, you obviously don't want them to see other customer data, and you don't want them to, have the possibility that they can tweak things or apply filters on their own. So we actually lock down the filtering side of things on the public URL side. So what we can do from this end is actually we're looking at a dashboard filtered for webinar 1, and currently we use the company ID for that filter. And the reason we do that is because, it's very easy to select the wrong company and expose that. It's very easy to not put a company in or not select a company and see everything. So for example, if you don't put a company in there, it actually blanks out the dashboard. That way there's no way for you to expose this dashboard with all your customer data, which obviously wouldn't be a good thing. So what we can do is we can actually filter this down to our company ID, which is just webinar 1 and ConnectWise. We can go ahead and select the manage public URLs link and go ahead and decide just to add a quick link. So I'm just going to call this webinar 1. I mean, typically you would actually call it, whatever your customer name is. That way it's easy to identify in the list. Really can be free text, so it can be anything you want. And what that does is it actually builds a custom URL for that customer that you can then share with them freely. So if I click on this copy button and I go ahead and just pop open a new tab and fire open that link, you'll notice that it brings up the dashboard on this tab as well, which is great. You actually don't need to be logged in to see it. I am logged in, so it actually shows my logged in username, still gives me all the options. But as you see, if I go ahead and log out of CSP and repaste that link in, what it does is it actually puts it under an impersonated account specific to that dashboard. So all the filtering options go away. They don't have, even the choice to switch a filter, look at it from a different angle. They can still drill into the different elements, which allows them to kind of get the detail behind each metric. And, from this point, they can essentially utilize, the other features that are available, such as the email and the download functionality. So, for example, if they see a couple issues that are open, they can actually select them. And these quick little buttons up here give you the option to email it. So if they don't like something about, what they're seeing, they can actually email it directly back to you with the attachment, ask questions on them to try to get updates on them quickly, or they can simply just download them to their system, downloads it in a CSV format. That way they can open it up in Excel, they can archive it, they can do whatever they want with it for the most part, but it does allow them to drill into it, send it off to you guys with some questions about some specific tickets, whatever it might be. That way they can openly communicate back and forth, any questions or concerns they might have. So flipping back over to CSP, it's going to force me to log back in because I just logged back out. We can show you how we actually support creating multiple public URLs per dashboard. And one of the key things is for all of our current users, we don't put a limit on the number of public URLs that you can actually create. In the future, we will be locking them down because essentially they are dashboard views with, rules that are running and load being put on the server. So there will be a finite limit at some point and we'll be able to sell them in bulk. But for now, if you're a current customer, we're just happy and excited to get you going on this new feature. So We have no limit. You can create, 50 public URLs, one for each of your customers if need be. Dish them out to your customers, and that way they have access. They can just bookmark them. They'll always be available, and that way they can bring it up whenever they like. So, what I showed you was how to share one customer. The next piece is obviously, after I've shared an initial customer, how do I share the second customer? So what we can do is we can simply just flip this on over. Webinar 2 is my second company ID I actually want to share. You'll notice that the dashboard automatically reloads, updates all the metrics on it to be relevant to Webinar 2 company. And again, that's just the company ID and ConnectWise. Once we do that, we can actually just go ahead and simply create another public URL. It's very important that it only attaches to whatever view you're currently looking at. So if you have a dashboard set up one way and you have not applied any custom filters to it whatsoever, it's going to share whatever the filters are that are currently set. So because I filtered my current view of the dashboard by Webinar 2, if I go ahead and copy this link as well, open up a new tab, paste that in, you'll notice that this dashboard actually loads underneath the Webinar 2 company. So you can create literally one link per customer. Again, send those links off. They can bookmark it, and then it's always available for them to pull up whenever they have questions or concerns or just kind of curious about what's going on. One of the nice things about this is, it opens up the door to a couple of the features that we're looking to, add into the system. Right now, it is mobile responsive, so if they even want to bookmark it on their phone, they can quickly pull it up. No login required, makes it, really easy, really simple and straightforward for them to access. And again, just gives them that visibility that they might not necessarily have today. So one of the things that, gets asked about this feature, because we've been showing it to a few customers, is the security portion. Essentially, the way that we actually lock down security on this piece is, again, we don't expose filters if you're not logged in. So if you're a logged in user like I am right now, you do get all your standard options. It recognizes that you are logged in and that you have access to the system and that you have the proper rights to be doing what you're doing. But, if they're not logged in, it locks it all down, creates a secure impersonated account that's, specific to those data filters. So they have no possibility of actually swapping them out, getting access to additional data that they shouldn't have access to for the most part. And this also allows you to share additional views with your internal text. So the inverse to this is the idea that, sometimes you don't want to necessarily expose all the management features of CSP to even your internal resources. So whether you're trying to expose the customer transparency side of things or your NOC metrics, it's the same exact process with the same exact flow. And as you make additional tweaks and modifications to a dashboard, they do propagate down to the public URLs. So for example, to just kind of show that piece off, one of the things that you guys constantly do with your dashboards is obviously update them, edit them, tweak them. And if you've published all of these dashboards to be publicly accessible, you don't want to have to go back and do that all over again. So if I just, for example, tweak a couple things, just to make it quick and easy, I'll swap some of these around, go ahead and just save that real fast. And then I go back to these two tabs, which are my publicly accessible web addresses. You'll notice that these widgets in the middle, they just flipped around. Really allows you to quickly and easily make modifications so that you don't have to go back and do all the manual updates and work it takes to update each individual dashboard. This provides you one template, one location that can be centrally modified, tweaked for everybody. That way it saves you guys obviously time and energy to get some customizations in there for your customers. So some of the things that we actually have coming down the pipeline that's centered on this whole idea of customer transparency is obviously the general look and feel. We have, a lot of style updates coming out in the next couple weeks here. You're essentially, anybody that's using it today and has been using it, we have a whole bunch of options and a whole bunch of just general look and feel cleanup that's coming, down the pipeline hot, and it's going to be actually released in 2 sets. Next week we're actually going to be doing a general overhaul. This whole dashboard is going to look a lot cleaner, a lot simpler, and then the following week we're actually going to be releasing new theming options. That way, for your customer, outside of controlling, the standard background colors like you can today, you'll be able to control, all your series, make things very personal to them, because the main problem is, we don't really give you that total control without kind of being the more advanced user. So you'll be able to kind of tailor these features to be, just much more presentable to your customer as a whole. And there'll be additional view options for how things are laid out and stretched and made visible to your end user wherever they might be pulling the actual screen up as a whole. So in terms of the client transparency, quick, simple, short, wanted to keep it nice and tight for everybody because I know, everyone's in the middle of the workday. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and pull open the questions tab real fast, and that way I can address them before we hop off the call. Let me just go ahead and adjust my screen a little bit. That way I can see what's going on. Let's see. Will the theme carry to the public URL? Is Brett Bell asked that question. Currently, it does not. The reason that it doesn't do that is because we are completely swapping out the actual theming component of the application. So when we did this, at ConnectSMART, we've kind of been going through major changes over the past 6 months to a year. This whole new dashboarding platform, we've been really throwing all of our effort into to kind of give everyone exactly what they're looking for. And so part of that is really making a nice, easy to use theming construct that, you guys can tweak and update and change without having to have, 5 million options to make that happen. So next week, you're going to see the first part of that, which is the general overhaul, the default view. And then the second piece is you're going to get a new tab on your dashboard settings that's actually going to allow you to do things like adjust the series, set more granular colors on different components on the dashboard, adjust the borders, things along those lines. So that's what we'll really be targeting. So you're going to actually see the light and dark theme removed because we're going to be dropping in palettes instead, which is going to give you guys a lot more control so you can make dashboards really kind of customized to fit your organization's color scheme, whatever it might be. Can you select multiple company IDs is another question. The answer is yes. A filter is a filter to us. We have dashboards that are, they support 2 types of filters, which you've probably seen. One is a drop-down, which is a multi-select. The other one is just a text field where you can type in freeform. So in this demo, we actually left it as a text field. Again, because we don't want you necessarily to accidentally select the wrong company, whatever it might be. It can easily be switched. If you have that request, it would take a matter of minutes to actually swap that over to be a drop down of all your companies instead. Some organizations have very large lists. You can't search that list, but sometimes it's just easier to pump in a company ID. So open to various scenarios on that end. Both ways are not that difficult to do. So yes, we definitely support multiple companies in the filter. Let me see if there's anything else. Are these dashboards available as templates? Yes, they will be. Our professional services and awesome widget creator Jen is actually putting together a few customer transparency dashboards for you. So today I just demoed one. There's a few other ones, some that go more into detail on the CSAT metric side. So we will be publishing those out Monday. They will have everything you've seen in this demo today and then some. So we'll be just dropping them into your account, we'll shoot out a blast, let everybody know on our newsletter Monday that they are available. But if you don't want to check your email, you can just feel free to log into Business Monday, and they will just show up as templates within your system. They will more than likely just be named Client Transparency Dashboard number 1, 2, 3, and 4, possibly with a little bit of extra detail on there. But yes, they will be available starting Monday for everyone to play with. Another question is, will there be an option to put in our logo instead of the ConnectSMART logo? Yes, absolutely. That is a request that we get all the time. We actually have a full screen mode that's going into the public URL portion, so you will be able to automatically render that, minus the top bar. So if you want to drop your logo into a widget, you can do that. That's probably the easiest way to get it on there. Right now, we do have an HTML widget, which was shown off a little bit last week. That allows you to put in an image link. That allows you to actually put in HTML if you want to do something custom there, whatever it might be. But you can really go to town, not just displaying widgets, but actually displaying custom content that your clients might be interested in. Maybe it's links to relevant websites for your services that you have available. Maybe it's things like your logo. But yes, absolutely, you can put whatever content you want on the dashboard in terms of, kind of dropping in images and whatever other kind of pictures you want to get across the message that you need to get across. And in full screen mode, that top title bar is going to go away, so they're not going to see it. So it's just going to be the dashboard content. All right, let me check to see if anybody else has a question. When are we going to limit the public URLs? We are actually working on security right now. So our basic model has been to just get you guys excited. A lot of this is new. We have existing customers that have used previous products. We have new customers that have just jumping on to CSP. And we're trying to make sure that, we make everything as available. But in the next few weeks here, we will be layering in security, and with that comes all of the advanced licensing, which will mean that different components will be spec'd out differently for users that have them and have them before we implement that model. They will be available up to a very large limit, so you shouldn't hit it anytime soon. But in terms of when that's actually going to be coming out is right after the theming, essentially. So security is going to allow you to not just control which areas of CSP somebody has access to, but rights as well. So you can create roles and groups and add users to it, and then add dashboards to those roles and groups, and basically put privileges such as view, edit, things along those lines, which will allow you to have the granularity necessary to control and lock down even the logged in users. So right now, as current users know, you can log in, you can get the dashboard list, you can play with things. We're going to be layering on that piece on top of it, which then allows you to lock down what users can do within the system right afterwards. So that's also a really exciting piece, because we definitely have a couple customers that have been wanting to be able to kind of remove the ability to edit dashboards from their technicians. So in the meantime, we've given them the public URL functionality, which will allow their text to get a read-only view. But in the future, you'll actually be able to lock down what they can do within the system, so they can't just edit things with free will. Alrighty. If nobody else has any additional questions, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys get back to work. Again, these dashboards will be available on Monday. I would check towards the end of business. Jen's going to go ahead and push them out to all of our existing tenants. That way, when you log in, go to the dashboard browser page and click the show templates. They're going to show right up, and you guys can begin sharing them with your clients. If you have any additional questions or features or requests, feel free to send them into support. We definitely backlog those items, examine them, see what the need is, and prioritize which features we're going to put in next based upon your feedback. So if you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns, don't hesitate to shoot them on into us. We're happy to take a look at them, examine them, get back to you with our feedback, and possibly come to a working solution that we can actually deliver to you sooner than later. So wanted to thank everyone for their time. I hope everybody has a great rest of their day, and we look forward to presenting some more material on next week's webinar. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye.